Okay, so today we're going to be mixing chromatic black. Chromatic black is a great choice to use in painting in place of black because we really want to avoid using actual black from the tubes. It's just way too dark and it overpowers all of the other colors. So it makes your paintings more dynamic and more diverse if you actually mix a black rather than using black from a paint tube. And this sounds a little bit like an oxymoron because black is not a color that you can mix from the color wheel, technically. Technically speaking, it's not a color at all. So we want to get like essentially a really, really dark, neutralized blue or purple in order to make it feel like black in our paintings, and it'll look like black, especially up against other actual colors that we're painting and mixing. So the recipe for mixing chromatic black is 3 parts blue, 2 parts violet or purple, and then 1, this is plus, 1 part yellow. And so what that means is essentially you're using a lot of blue, a little bit of red, and even less yellow. And the yellow really is there to neutralize it and create more of a black and not a violet or purple. So I'm gonna show you how I mix that on my palette. I have multiple brushes, but you will need like water to wash your brush out. So I'm gonna get quite a bit of blue. And then I'm gonna mix a purple because you'll get to the point where you're really good at eyeballing how much red you need. But for now, I want you to stick to the recipe, and I want you to create the purple and look at how much purple compared to how much blue. So I'm gonna mix a purple really quickly. I wanna make sure that it's purple, not red violet, not blue violet. All right, I actually really like where this purple is. So I'm gonna get as much as I can because I did not mix very much onto my brush, and I'm gonna swatch it right next to that blue. So that's 3 parts blue, 2 parts purple, 1 part yellow. I'm getting a new brush. I'm gonna get a little bit of yellow, and I'm gonna put it right there next to the purple, okay? Then I'm gonna mix all that together. I'm gonna use my purple brush to mix it. And just like when you're mixing colors to match our magazine pictures, you're not gonna get there on the first try. You're gonna have to ask yourself some questions. So here is my mixture, and my questions are, is it too blue? Is it too purple, or is it too green? And right now it's too blue, so I need to add more purple, and so I'm gonna add actually some red, and I need to add some yellow to neutralize it. I'm gonna take some red, I'm gonna take quite a bit of yellow because it takes a lot more of the lighter color to alter the dark colors now that we've got all this paint on our palette. And I'm just gonna mix, 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 mix. Okay, so again, I'm asking the questions. Is it too blue? Is it too purple? Or is it too green? And right now it's still too blue. You can even paint a little bit on your paper. It's still too blue. It's like a navy. So I'm gonna add more yellow to neutralize it. And add a little bit at a time, build it up. I didn't scoop the whole thing of yellow in there, and I don't wanna overshoot it. So I'm gonna see what this is like. Still, I think a little bit too navy, too blue. I'm gonna add some more yellow. I'm also gonna add a little bit more red because the opposite of blue is actually orange, And so if I keep just adding yellow, I'm gonna knock it to the green side of things. So I'm gonna get some more red as well and bring it back to that neutral spectrum. Now, we are making chromatic black, so it's gonna have a little bit of hint of color no matter what you do. We're just trying to get as close as we can. We're trying to get something that we feel good about. So there is my new color. Now I think it's a bit on the purple side, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. I like it on the paper. I don't like it so much on the palette. So I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow, not a whole lot. And then we'll see where that's at. Hopefully we're getting pretty close. All right. That's good. I like that. So it's pretty dark, pretty black. You know, it's still got a hint of maybe the blue in it, but like I said, we're not gonna get 100% dark black because that is impossible. So we're trying to get as close as we can with color. Then what we're gonna do is we're going to explore some value scales. So you're gonna create 2 value scales, and a value scale, if you remember, is a scale of darks to lights. So in the center, we're gonna have the color or the hue. And then we're gonna have 3 shades, which is the dark side. And then we're gonna have 3 tints, which is the light side. Okay? Now, you can pick any color that you want. Truly, it doesn't matter because we're just going to explore darkening a color with chromatic black versus darkening a color with its complement, okay? So I'm gonna choose red, and I'm gonna start by painting my hue. This is just pure red. I'm not adding anything to it, okay? And then remember that the rules in painting is that you always want to add the dark into the light color. So I'm gonna start with my dark side, but I'm gonna paint red first because red is going to be my light color on the dark side, on my shade side. And I am using a liberal amount of paint because I don't want this paper to dry up my paint before I can mix into it. So I want to mix while my paint is wet. Okay, so then I'm going to take the first one I'm going to use is chromatic black, which I already have on this paintbrush, and I'm going to mix it, and I'm going to start on the darkest side. So I'm going to mix this chromatic black into this red. And then without washing my paintbrush, I'm gonna mix it into this red. And because I'm taking this mixture and pulling it over here, this is gonna be just a little bit more red than that one. And again, I'm gonna do it on this one. And it's gonna be just slightly more red than that one because I'm taking this mixture and I'm pulling it over here, okay? So then we have really dark, a little bit less dark, and then really light. If there's not enough difference between those, then you can kind of work, you know, between. So I think I actually want to add more of my chromatic black down here, and then just a little bit more in here to darken that as well. So I'll have darkest, middle dark, light dark, and then my color, all right? Then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to do the same thing with whites. So I'm going to, because white is now the lightest color on the tint side, I'm going to paint my boxes white first. And then I'm going to mix red into it, but I'm gonna start, I'm actually gonna start next to the hue because this will be my darkest light color. So I'm gonna mix my red into that white. And then I'm gonna take that mixture and mix it into this white. And then I'm gonna take that mixture and mix it into this white. Okay, so then I have dark, light, medium, light, light, light. That makes sense. All right, this is chromatic black. And then down here, we're gonna use complementary colors to darken it. So what's the complement of red? Green. So I'm gonna mix green on my palettes, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with my chromatic black, but I'm gonna use red. So first I'm gonna mix my green. And we really don't need a lot because we're just gonna do this value scale. We're just kind of exploring how complements can darken a color. It's a little bit too yellow. There we go, I like this green. That's good. All right, so there's my green. I'm gonna take red and I'm painting my hue and I'm gonna leave it alone. And then I'm going to take the red and paint all three of my shades. Remember, I'm using a liberal amount of paint because I want to mix into it. So then I'm gonna take my green and do the same thing I did with the chromatic black. So here I'm gonna mix my green into the red. And then I'm gonna take this mixture and mix it into this red. And take this mixture and mix it into this red. And it should get a little bit lighter every time. Okay? And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the white side of it. This is the same exact thing you did up top because we're exploring the shades, not the tints. So I'm adding my white first as it is the lighter color. And then I'm gonna mix my red into that. So this one, I'm gonna start here, mix it in. And then I'm gonna take that color and mix it in. And then that color and mix it in down here. So I'm progressively getting lighter on the tints, okay? And then I want you to take some notes and annotate your thoughts on the difference between using chromatic black to darken a color versus using its complement to darken a color. So we're really looking at this side of our value scales and making some notes on our thoughts about which one darkens the color better, what do we like better, what do we think would be better in our painting, okay?